Sorry about that. Hey, who'd you talk to? What's going on? It is me, Mike Lepre, King Michael. This is World of Legit Fantasy Wrestling, brought to you by legitpodcast.com. I'm going to try to take these off, my blue blockers. If I start to get dizzy and sway, I will put my blue blockers back on. I do this for you. It is June 29th. I got an ear part in my ear. That's why things didn't sound balanced. It is June 29th, 2022. That is 0629 2022. Math geeks, I don't know. 3 2s plus 6, 9. I got nothing. I have absolutely nothing. Joining me as always, Joey Paranormal. What's up, Joe?
Not much, man. Yourself?
Oh, man, I got a list of injuries. My back
shit.
hurts. My back hurts right here. So like if I go upstairs it hurts. Any reaching it hurts. Let's see.
Yeah, it's
I've
always the worst.
I've got vertigo still. I keep having like dizzy spells.
Yeah, vertigo sucks. My mom has that, and it's no joke. And the medication you gotta take fucks you up for it too.
I'm not taking anything.
Okay.
I'm just wobbling around dealing with these things.
All that
The
extra
biggest
sand in your ears.
the biggest problem I think I have is the lights, the screens. Like to do these shows, it's like poof,
Yeah.
damn. So I end up wearing my blue blockers, or as I call them, my Mitch Hedbergs, and people think I'm being cool, and in reality, I'm just this is this is the best way to see things. I'll be honest, there's just no glare.
You're just trying to keep yourself from getting so dizzy you fall right off your bar stool.
That's basically it, in a roundabout sort of way. So, man, let's before we get into wrestling, Joe, let's just go over something real quick. You're not a big social media guy, right? You're not on like a lot of social media.
No, I have a Facebook. I have an Instagram. I rarely post. I like Instagram better because it's pictures and people tend to give less opinions and fight over opinions. But I rarely use any social media. I don't do the
Now,
Snapchats. I don't tick and talk and all that stupid stuff.
yeah. So I have to make sure we are seen everywhere. So I have to I have to make sure we're, all our shows are ready to go on all the different social media platforms. That's something that I have to do. It takes me about nowadays it's taking me around 45 minutes to an hour. So I have to pre-produce every show I'm on for about an hour just so things will be seen correctly. So I get to see people's posts. Now, what bothers you more, Joe? Is it the person that keeps taking the selfie that's basically the same selfie? Like, in other words, certain people will have this certain pose. It's always girls, where it's like this angle and you see cleavage. And it's literally that picture, and they take that same photo everywhere they go. And it blows my mind. Like, why would you want the same photo every place you go? What's the I don't I don't I don't know why you would want to keep posting photos of yourself where you're posing exactly the same. Help me with that, Joe.
I think the worst for me is when you look at someone's. It's for me. It's Instagram, and you look at their Instagram feed, and it's just all selfies. It's either all selfies or it's primarily selfies with like other people in a couple of the photos. And I have read online that if your social media feeds and your pictures are primarily just selfies, it's very narcissistic trait that you can have. And you see a lot of people nowadays where it's not landscapes and I mean, even I'll take half of your feed being food, but there's a lot of people I see that have just a list of just different types of selfies, and it's like I get what you look like. What's your life like? I don't care about your face a million times. That's what bothers me.
Well, but if we're being honest, we don't care about their lives really that much either.
Eh.
The faces, uh, I have to push myself to be vain. Like, in other words, I have to make sure that, like, I shower or, I have to push myself. It's like if
Wait,
I
wait, wait.
could
So are you saying that you're so vain that you don't even know this show is about you?
basically, basically,
Hey.
basically, I
See
don't
what I
even like
did
the
there?
yeah, yep, basically, I didn't like the joke at all, but I did see what you did there. Um, so let's talk some pro wrestling
Oh, that
now.
stopped the conversation right there. I just derailed it with a bad dad joke. Come on
Oh,
now.
that was definitely yeah. That would definitely derail. Yeah, that you just did. Yeah, so yeah, you're right. Right, you're actually right again, Joe. Let's see.
So
Where do you want to start?
it's probably a good thing that I had to take last Wednesday off from the show because I probably would have sat there and been like, "Oh, Sasha Banks is released." I think I even messaged you and was like, "Oh, Sasha Banks was released. It's being reported." Apparently, she's still on the WWE roster. So that to me, that's I think the biggest story we should touch on first. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it too because it was reported this time last week, a couple days earlier, like last Tuesday, that Sasha was released, and then a couple days went by, there was nothing. A week went by, there's been nothing. There's now reports that WWE is actually trying to get her to stay. I think what's really going on is she has lawyers involved who are contacting and working with WWE trying to get her out of her contract. And now WWE is probably looking at going, man, we actually really don't want you to go. Like, what can we do to get you to stay? And it's probably just a battle at this point.
Did you say lawyers involved?
I did.
Well, once there's lawyers involved, um, I would think that WWE is trying to settle any legal disputes that they think they're maybe even slightly uh in the wrong, especially when it comes to the female wrestlers. Like, I don't think Vince's track record or what's been going on, the fact that
Huh.
he's stepped down from CEO,
Yeah, we can hit that in a few too.
that doesn't help him, right?
This is
So
different though. This isn't an allegation of him raping a girl in a limo. This is just a wrestler
no,
who's
no, no.
disgruntled,
What I'm saying is
and that was allegedly, by the way.
she can use all this allegedly stuff to her advantage. How? By just being in the media about it right now. The fact that you just mentioned the fact that her lawyers are talking to WWE. Okay. All right. What are they talking about WWE about? Well, we think it's about re-signing or getting her out of contract. That's what we think. The last thing they would want probably is one of the big time stars to come out with some sort of allegation and pile on. Uh, so when I saw this, I immediately thought, boy, that's odd. They released her, but she must have said something that has made this linger, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they said you're fired. She said, well, here's this and that, and here's my lawyers. I don't know,
See,
Joe. I don't know if they're fighting to, they want to keep her or if they just want to keep her on ice. You know what I'm trying to
I
say?
I could see it from the other perspective where I think it's she tried to get her released. They said, "Hell no, we're not just releasing you." And she's like, "All right, well, I'm getting lawyers involved, and they're going to try to lawyer me out of this contract." I think that's where they're at right now.
I don't I don't look, I don't think they care that much. Like, she's just not that big a deal right now where they could cut her. They could. They don't need her. They don't use her. What's
Yeah, but they could be using her better. I mean,
but
that
they're
the
not.
women's division is very stale.
It is, and there's so many people that we're saying they can't use. They're not using correctly. So we're waiting to see how that all unfolds. They got all these new women going. Why in God's name would they want, like, in other words, I don't know why Sasha Banks thinks she holds the cards in this one. Like, go to AEW. See how you make out. Like, for real. Like, let her go, wrestle the bingo halls. It's not gonna that's not her. She's not built like that, man. She's another one of those wrestlers that's just, if it wasn't for the suspension of belief, I don't see her beating many people. She's how much does she weigh? If we're being
Yeah.
100% honest. Like 100 what? And I'm not, you know what's funny is I've been watching so much stand up that before I say a comment, I immediately think of like what people are going to say to me. Because like what I'm about to say right now is that she's too small. I think she's too small as a female wrestler. Now, people could go, "Oh, you're body shaming, you're this shaming." It's like, shut up. Some wrestler came out with that recently. Did you see that about body
Mm-mm.
shaming in the WWE or in pro wrestling?
No,
Yeah,
I haven't seen it.
he was complaining of body shaming, and I'm like, oh, it was about Adam Cole. It was a comments made about Adam
Oh,
Cole.
I did see this, that he's too small. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he commented on it,
He is.
he's too small to be a pro wrestler.
He is.
Yeah.
But no. That's the thing. We're not body shaming. That's the worst thing I've ever heard. For them to spin that and use that term for that, we're talking pro wrestlers here. No, there's no body shaming in pro wrestling because you know why? There is body shaming in pro wrestling. They make fun of the heavy people. They named the heavy girl Dewdrop for crap's
Dewdrop.
sake. Get
And it's
out of
still
here with
going.
that.
That's
Don't
like that's like everyone making fun of Kenny Pickett before he got drafted because he had baby hands. Like it's we're not making fun of you or hand shaming you. You have small hands. You probably can't grip the football as well as other people. That's just how it is.
So you know who it was? It was the guy from AEW, the one that's kind of out of shape that fought CM Punk. Eddie
Oh, Eddie Kingston.
Eddie Kingston was body shamed. Him and Adam Cole on the same thing. And I'm thinking, okay, I see that. Like, they both could be in better shape. They're pro wrestlers. Like, I think they're missing the point of this. A pro wrestler should be somebody you see that looks like he can kick the crap out of everybody else somehow. Shouldn't all pro wrestlers strive to have that one trait, Joe? The fact that they look like they can beat people up?
My biggest issue with that though is we're not the term professional wrestler in my eyes isn't what the WWE and AEW is. Because in theory, what they do isn't what's in the Olympics. It's not what kids train for in college. It's just not, you know?
Joe,
S-
Joe, that's called amateur wrestling because they can't become pros in that, Joe. If they get paid, they're no longer allowed to do it. So there's a thing called amateur wrestling, which is in high schools and colleges and in the Olympics. And then there's what's called professional wrestling. You see the
yeah,
difference there?
I do, and I know what you're saying. I've just always had an issue with that because they're wildly different. They're wildly different types of wrestling, and I wouldn't necessarily call what the WWE and AEW are as like a professional version. It's sports entertainment. But now, I don't want to get on a soapbox because I'm going to sound stupid anyway. I usually do. If you look at a guy like Kevin Owens, he also doesn't have the body of a prototypical pro wrestler, but holy shit, is he good at what he does? And he's hilarious, and he's
Does
a
he
great
wear a
character.
shirt?
Yeah, well, he does.
Does he know that he's heavy? Does he wear like
Yeah,
tight? Yes,
yeah. One
exactly.
of his
Okay,
signatures is a senton because he's just a big dude. Like, but
okay.
it
So
works for some people, and that's kind of how I look at it with like an Adam Cole or an Eddie Kingston. Like, Eddie Kingston's always going to have a chip on his shoulder, so that's something. Of course, he'd be like, "Oh, well, people make fun of me for being big." Okay, well then use that. Just like use it to your advantage. It's the same thing with Adam Cole. Okay, people call you small, so like, what are you going to do about it? You going to cry about it, or
get in
you've already
shape.
made your millions? Like, dude, just keep doing what you're doing.
Can you get in shape? Could you get in shape? Could you add on muscle? Adam Cole's not even like defined at his.
Yeah.
He's skinny fat. He's a skinny fat guy already, and he's a professional wrestler. Like, leave that to the dads. Like, don't go doing that to us. Like, I don't want to look on the screen to see people that we would literally go, I might be able to take that guy. That should never happen, Joe. I want to
Yeah.
always look up and see wrestlers and be like, that guy would crush me. And oh, man, he'd be great. Like, you want to see a whatever. I digress. I mean, you guys want your Orange Cassidys and your Darby Allens and things like that.
My favorite, Danhausen.
Yeah, well,
he's a great professional wrestler, but man, is he tiny compared to a lot of other guys.
just in general, all those guys right there, like the Adam Cole's group, Fish and the other
Yeah. I want
one that had
they
had
want
a
to call him Undisputed Era, but like it's obviously not that.
bad idea though for them to go over like to other
Yeah.
places. Like, what are they gonna do? Adam Cole should have just became a manager and shut his mouth. You can do really well as a manager. You can become that manager that eventually becomes a wrestler.
Yeah.
But you
Man, all this is doing though, and this is way out of left field, but it's just reminding me like the golden age of NXT, where Undisputed Era was running the show with DIY, Johnny Gargano, and Tommaso Ciampa. Like, oh man, that's what I want to go back to because that was such a fun division and such a fun little thing. And now everyone's you've got AEW that's just chock full of talent. They just added Claudio Castagnoli, who again, like Miro just came back, and like Miro's been lost, and it I wish I wish NXT was better, and I wish some of the guys that left to go to AEW were just still running NXT. Like
NXT is a train wreck explosion of bad colors, bad ideas, and that stupid set.
hopefully it changes soon. Supposedly, Hunter Hearst Helmsley's back, so we'll see how that. We'll see if he's doing anything with NXT or not. I mean, Johnny Laurinaitis is gone, and Vince is soon to be gone. So, I mean, I'm hopeful that something will change, but we'll see what happens.
I don't think due to Triple H's health that he's going to ever be in a position again to where he's going to want all that pressure of running everything.
I think without Vince over his shoulder, I think he'd thrive. I think he'd be a lot better.
No,
I think
health-wise. I mean health-wise. I don't think that's exactly what the doctors would probably want somebody with a heart condition to get into.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time too, though, like the guy's still got to live his life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that doesn't mean he has to go try to resurrect something that he watched get burnt to ashes and turn into like a confetti-colored like
children's birthday party. I mean, he could if, like I said, if Vinnie Mac is out. I mean,
what it looks
why
like
not?
to me, honestly, it looks like a fruit basket. NXT. When I see NXT logo and I see the thing come up, I think of fruit because I think
it looks
colors.
Fruit in like yogurt. It looks like some kind of like
a
fruit. Yeah, like something you'd see like a Special K fruit and yogurt with like oranges and strawberries and blueberries and fucking grapes. Yeah, it's
That's gross looking.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan. I hate what they did to NXT, and I think we've documented that. It's just ridiculous. So, this is unrelated and not rumors, but did you see the clip? Because I didn't watch it because I don't buy the AEW pay-per-views. But did you see Sting's entrance from Forbidden Door, where they cut to black and he dives off of the entrance like television thing? Probably like 15 to 20 feet in the air and just dives off onto three dudes from, I think it was a Bullet Club or it was like the club. So it was something like that. It was a mix of guys from AEW and New Japan. But like this dude's like 60 plus years old and has like a fused neck. And he's just like diving off of shit like he's 25. And it was just crazy. Everyone was talking about it. It was insane.
See, I think when I see him do that, I think Sting did not manage his money correctly.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
Yeah, he does a lot of the what do you call it? Like the shows too, where you go and you get like signatures and shit. You know what I mean? Like he does a lot of those kind of events too. So
what happened? How did he lose all his money? Because what's he doing?
He was in WCW. I mean, they probably weren't paying all that much. And he was one of those guys that never came over to WWE.
No, Stinger's definitely gotten a fortune in his lifetime. He's obviously not. Look, anybody who's wrestling at his age, taking his kind of bumps, right? They have nothing to prove. They would never considered a great wrestler, right? As far as technically, he'll never be considered a great wrestler.
No, it was the character.
Exactly. So, diving 15 feet at this age, no. Like at his age, I would be in the back. They go, yeah, we're gonna have your thing come on, and then you dive 15 feet onto three guys. I'd go, no. They'd go, what do you mean? I'd be like, what do you mean? What do I mean? I'm 60 years. How old is he?
He's gotta be. I think he's 60.
Find out how old Sting is. But like, man, like the only reason you dive 15.
Oh my God!
What?
Wrong Sting.
Oh, Sting from the Police.
Yeah.
Him I could take.
He's 70. Sting, the face paint icon is 62. I saw 70. I was like, there's no way he's 70. Dude, that's right. It's
listen, 62.
Still, yeah.
I can't even 62. I don't even. You know, it's great. I still don't have friends in that range. The oldest people I know in their early 50s. I don't know anybody at 62, Joe. And at 62, there's only one reason you dive 15 feet: money. That's it. And I don't think AEW gave him that. How much do you think AEW gave him, Tony Khan, gave him to dive like that?
That's a good question. I couldn't even. I'm not even going to speculate because I don't know what wrestling contracts are because they're so like. You don't hear a lot about how much
$100,000 at least for the appearance.
Oh, probably more than that. Yeah, it's got to be more than that. It's probably south to 500K, but it's more than 100.
Well, you can't pay everybody that though. You couldn't do that.
Yeah, but it's Sting, you know what I mean? And they're protecting that character so much. I mean, he is he's obviously never going to be a champion, but like he is just like the old guy that like because there was a moment where the Jacksons they super kick him and he just eats it. And then he stares at him, and then he clotheslines him, and they do their whole flippity do and make it look like he clotheslined him into next week. And you know they're doing a good job of protecting the legacy. They're doing a lot. Kind of the reason I brought it up is I wanted to mention how I hated how WWE treated a lot of WCW guys, and I love that AEW was like. They're not just using Sting to use Sting. They're like, no, like he is the icon. Like this was one of the greatest characters in pro wrestling. Like the aura that he has that the WWE tried to destroy. So that's why I brought it up because I just thought you can give the reasons. Yeah, I'm sure it's probably money related or whatever. Like he probably got a fat check to do that. It's just sick. Like it's being like you can't see it, but right up there there's Sting over here and Kane over here. Like he was one of my favorites growing up, and to see like his character and just being like as well, like it's just as well produced and as well shown as AEW is doing. It's just great.
I think what's good about him is that he's now done it in so many different divisions. You know what I mean? Like he's gone over to the different wrestlings. And he's been the same guy, Sting. So kudos to that. My advice, stop.
Too bad he could have never gotten a WWE championship run because then he could have had
the Triple Crown.
The quad crown. Because he was in TNA. He was TNA champion at one point. Imagine that. He could have had them all. Imagine if he went over to Impact and got the Impact World. He'd have everything.
So basically what you're saying is we need Christian Cage to win the AEW belt.
Yes. But Christian Cage was never WWE champion. He was world heavyweight champion.
But still.
It's like splitting hairs, but it's just weird. But it's like Jericho. Like Jericho's been the technically WCW world heavyweight champion because he had that belt. He was WWE champion. He's AEW champion. But he was never TNA champion. And you got like Matt Hardy or not Matt Hardy, CM Punk, who's now been WWE champion, ECW champion, world heavyweight champion, AEW, like all these guys, like, it would have just been great for Sting if Vince McMahon didn't basically spit in his face and then Kevin Rollins, holy crap, Seth Rollins didn't destroy his neck.
They weren't going to make him.
I hate that move. No, they never were, but it would have been nice.
By that point, he was, he wasn't going to carry the belt well. Sting's not going to put on a bunch of great matches.
No, that's why he's partnered with Darby Allin, who's going to do all the work for him.
Basically.
Yeah, which I'm fine with, though.
All right, my God. You know what? Let's go on to Monday Night Raw. Now, what
I mean, I think there's another big thing that we're missing here that we should talk about.
Go right ahead.
Somebody came back last Friday who I didn't think was going to be back anytime soon, but they had to make a call because Randy Orton's injured. They had to call Superman to come save the day.
Yep.
Well, what am I talking about?
But is he there? But I was going to get, but is he, yes. And he also came back though to promote all the merch that they're spewing out right now to celebrate his 20.
Oh, I'm not even talking. Nope. We're talking about a different guy.
All right. Who are we talking about?
Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
He came back on Friday, man.
But why did you think he was coming back though?
Because I assumed the way that he lost Roman Reigns that he was going to be on a longer hiatus. And again, I think I would have been right if Randy Orton didn't have a back injury because he's literally back just because they didn't have a big enough opponent for Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam.
You mean Roman Reigns?
Yes, yeah, Roman Reigns,
All
yeah.
right, but the reason, listen, I told you Brock Lesnar would be back very, very, very soon. I said he'd be back sooner than you thought. You said no. And I told you my reasons why. One, he's not going to go wrestle for anybody else. Two, he's in great shape. He's put a lot of work into that. Like, he was getting fat for a while, and he's gotten into great shape. And he's having a really good run. He's enjoying this. This is he knows he's got a nice window right here before he starts to, get old. So I knew he was coming back quick. He's in too good a shape. Like, he's like arguably the best shape he's been in for a long time. Right? For a long time.
Yeah.
There was a while there, dude. He looked like if you shaved down a gorilla. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what he looked like. He just no. He looks
I'm
better
not-
now with muscles.
I'm not giving you the win on this one though, because he's still only back because of a technicality. Because I don't think if Randy Orton was healthy, I don't think he comes back right now. If we're being honest, I just don't think that's how it happens. And I think and this isn't my idea. This was floated out there by Simon over at What Culture. But I think it's highly likely that Seth Rollins wins the Money in the Bank. He cashes in at SummerSlam. He wins one of the titles, and he's going to go on to end up facing Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, who's going to come back at the Royal Rumble and win the Rumble. I think that's exactly how this storyline is going to go.
So you think you give Seth Rollins the Money in the Bank?
Yeah, 100%. This is the only one that makes sense in that match, unless they give it to Riddle, but that's still just a wasted opportunity. I think Seth Rollins. I think
the only reason they give it a Riddle is because of if Randy's going to be out.
Yeah,
really long.
I just think
you start thinking Riddle.
It's so hard for them. I think it's going to be very hard for them to not, especially because WWE loves to just like rehash old storylines. I think it'd be really hard for them to pass up the opportunity to have Seth Rollins cash in a Money in the Bank contract on Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns again.
True.
And the story writes itself. I mean, you give him a title run. Cody's projected to be back.
I guess. Yeah, it's the same characters. It's just the same people, though. It's the same people. It's the same. It's Seth, Roman, Brock. Like,
yeah, but the payoff to this is to get Cody the belt without having him go over Roman Reigns. Because I still think what happens is you have Roman go over Brock at SummerSlam, and Brock maybe, or even like they beat the crap out of each other, but nobody wins that match. And then right when like Roman or Brock hits an F5 and it looks like he's gonna beat Roman, but he's on his last leg, Seth comes in, levels him, cashes in, pins one of them because he only has to pin one of them, and walks away with the title. Yeah, I don't know. It's just,
you know what? You're right. It writes itself, and I guess my issue is it's so on the nose. It's so what we all kind of expect. That there's got to be something else they can do instead of just leading us down something where we're going to pre-call for like the next 6 months. Like, it can't just be set. I mean, because it's like, I looked at the Money in the Bank thing and I'm looking at people in it and I'm like, all right, so Seth Rollins is going to win the Money in the Bank because who else can they really technically put it on? Like, it's so weird, but right now, who could they really have win the Money in the Bank other than Seth Rollins and actually make it work? It has to be somebody new, right? Somebody came back, somebody out of nowhere. Other than that,
the only other person I could see in this lineup that actually will, or that has a chance to win, is Drew McIntyre. That's the only one. And if we're being honest, throwing McIntyre into a little three-way going into SummerSlam with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, that's actually fantastic too, because it's just three big dudes who have all beaten the shit out of each other at one point or another in the past couple of years. Story-wise, Seth's the only one that makes sense because he's on fire right now. I mean, Drew hasn't really done anything. Seth is hot. I mean, he's got a lot of momentum. Even though he lost those 3 matches to Cody Rhodes, they were phenomenal matches, and he's got a lot of stuff riding for him right now.
I guess. you know, I guess. I wish I was just. You know what? I guess I wish they excited me more with like future. I don't like when I feel like I know the future. So because it makes me tune in less. If you give me such building blocks to whereas I go, oh, it's gonna be this, and that. eh, I'll tend to not watch if I know what's gonna happen. So they gotta mix it up. Someone's gotta mix it up. Someone back there's gotta go. Look, we got talent from like NXT. We got to do something. We got to make different groups. Like, can we do something? Like, and do something and make somebody else a big star and ride their wave and figure out what's what. Bring up the Usos' younger brother and just make sure they all know that he's family. Like, don't try to hide that by calling him all these other names. Just have him come
Yeah.
up. Have him come up and be the new powerhouse of the family because you want to have a feud. Right there you go, Joe. Here comes the new younger brother. He is a powerhouse. Roman's a powerhouse. They eventually bump heads. Who do the Usos stick up for? Their younger brother or their cousin Roman Reigns? And then you get a battle right there, and you get a split. And you can have fractions in the bloodline, and it gets more interesting and fun. That's one guy. Bring him up, put him in there. Let's see what happens.
And that's one whole like half of a show right there is just that whole storyline.
That
And then
could
the
go on
different
for weeks.
battles that come out of it.
That can go on for weeks. And then I want somebody who is like a top-notch wrestler to come out and beat the snot out of the young kid with the United States title.
Austin Theory.
Not even for the belt. Like, have him go up against Brock. Have Brock just suplex him like 8 times, leave him with the belt, and walk out.
I mean, does John Cena count?
And give this because I want to give this kid a better edge. Like, they got to make this kid more mean. He's got to be meaner. He's got to be mean. I don't like the whole selfie gimmicky that bullshit. Because what you got with this kid is you got Austin Theory, right? Change the haircut, right? He's a good-looking kid, very well in shape. Change the way he dresses. Change the whole goofy. Hey, knock that off. Make it so that he gets embarrassed and beaten, and he has to adapt, and he becomes a different, more deranged type guy. That's what they need to do with Austin Theory because right now his whole gimmick is so stale and it's not going to last but a week more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's interesting. So his little 30-second promo with Cena on Monday Night Raw was actually a little bit of what you're saying. I mean, he just they let Theory like shred Cena. It was actually kind of interesting to see it happen. I mean, and Cena just stood there. He didn't rebuttal or anything. It was just Austin Theory just ripped him a new one, and it was kind of an edge and a fire that you haven't seen out of his character yet. It was actually really entertaining for what it was.
You need to have loss, though. You need to have humiliation. This kid is pride. This is what if he was one of the 7 deadly sins, Austin Theory would be pride. You have to break that. You have to break that to see what he is, to give him more than just one dimension of being just pride.
Well, what if we set this up right? So Austin Theory faces John Cena at SummerSlam. Cena wins, doesn't put Austin Theory over, but Austin Theory snaps, and this is how you kayfabe write Cena off forever or until he decides to come back.
I'm down with that.
Austin Theory, after he loses, Cena puts his hand out, kind of like the Undertaker did back in Cena's after Cena's first match. And Austin Theory comes up, and you think he's gonna shake, and then he just kicks the shit out of Cena and just like destroys him. Like,
yeah, he's got to lose his mind though. Yeah, he's got to lose his mind.
I think that will ultimately accomplish, I think, what you want.
Then you start to see him show up on shows. He's not shaving.
Yeah,
he's like, you know what I mean.
His hair's getting longer.
Yep, that would work. You got to do something like that.
The worst thing too is he's gonna beat Bobby Lashley for the United States Championship at Money in the Bank, and it's gonna be frustrating because
Omos
Omos is in the Money in the Bank match.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that he can't.
WWE's not gonna cross streams. Come on now.
They're gonna just let Austin Theory go over on Bobby Lashley?
He'll probably win in some kind of underhanded tactic, but yeah, I hope I'm wrong because I would love to see Lashley with another title.
Yeah, I think
But
Lashley would be a great United States champion
so
because
so do I.
I'd rather see
Um,
his fights than the kids.
the only thing I could think of, because Cena was pretty heavily teasing, I don't know when my next match is gonna be. I'm 45. I could see him still being around the WWE and potentially costing Theory the match at Money in the Bank. Maybe that's how they are, not even costing him the match, but Theory tries to use underhanded tactics and Cena comes out to kind of like keep him in line and Lashley just beats him straight up. And then that's how the feud starts. But I still think that feud comes over the United States Championship. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I sadly think somehow, some way they're gonna put Theory over Lashley.
Look, Cena may be 45, but he's in better shape than 90% of the roster.
That's just what he said in his promo. That's how he
Yeah,
said,
yeah,
I'm 45. I don't know how much time I have left.
that's him using his angles to make you feel bad for him and all that other bull crap. And when in reality, like Adam Cole needs to go visit John Cena and learn how to do like push-ups, dumbbell things, whatever it is they do. He does. That's one of the guys I'd go see. Speaking of that, how's your cross training coming along, Joe? You still doing that?
I haven't been in a little while.
Why not? Why not?
So basically what happened was I was supposed to go last Monday. My mom tested positive for COVID. So out of precautions, I just haven't gone. I'm going back Friday. That's gonna be my first day back. So, but otherwise, it's been pretty good. I've been dying less and less, which has been pretty nice. I've been putting in a lot of effort in the what do you call them? Like not the classes, but basically the workouts that we're doing.
Yep.
So I was seeing some improvements. So it's been good. I mean, I actually really enjoy going and doing the workouts and killing myself. Basically, there's been a
You
couple
gotta get
days.
there, Joe.
Yeah, there's been a
That's
couple
the
days.
problem.
There's been a couple days where I've driven home and like I don't know how I made it home. Like I shouldn't have driven home because I was like so,
Hard.
when you like push yourself so far in like a workout and you're just like dizzy and dehydrated and just exhausted.
No.
I had oh okay.
No, I do not. I do not. I'll be honest, I do not. I there's this guy that I watch. This is training guy, and basically what he does is you train up. You just keep training up to not gas yourself and put yourself through like the awful try to get back. Like in other words, the older you get, more out of shape you get. After you work out is the worst. If you go super hard, it hurts, right? So by small increments, I'm at the point where it's hurt a little bit the whole time, but I have never had that, oh my God, couple of times after a workout. So in the beginning, it's like that. If you go crazy, like you're probably going at that place, I doubt that they ease you in. I'm willing to bet you they just get you up and going. So
Yeah.
it's just a different way of doing it. Like I've done it so slow that now if I do the 2 miles, 2.5 miles, I'm not out of wind. I'm fine.
So
I try not to push it because there's this thing called heart attacks. And the only thing I know about a heart attack is if your left arm goes numb, then you might be getting one. Other than that, that's all I know. So I know that, don't push, but you don't have to push it. Like get results by just constantly increasing what you can do as opposed to destroying yourself. That's just my older age theory on working out.
Well, so with the workouts that they have too, you don't have to be stupid like myself. It is at your own pace. So they give you like this is the CrossFit standard, this is the performance standard, and this is just the I'm here to just work out standard. And most of the workouts are to a degree at your own pace. Like I said,
but
if you're
you put a chart up like that, right? How do you not want to get the highest on the
oh yeah,
chart
well,
with
yeah.
everybody around you? Do you know what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say to you? Like that's a weird thing. I agree with that chart, but by putting it out in the open, it's almost more of a what is it called? Peer pressure. That's the word.
Well, in to defend that, CrossFit is it's like a competitive sport. So they have to put those metrics out because there are people there who are trying to hit those high CrossFit metrics so they can compete. They know that they can go out and compete with other people who are crazy CrossFitters. So for me, I only feel the peer pressure in the fact that like I feel like I should be doing better because at one point not very long ago, but before, I started doing the podcast before we met, I could be doing that stuff very easily. Like I surprisingly was in really good shape pre-pandemic. So that's why I push myself, because it's more like I let myself down and I'm trying to just crank it out and be back to where I was. And
Why is
more,
everybody blaming that for um weight gain?
I'm just saying it was pre-pandemic. Like it wasn't the pandemic's fault, but pre-pandemic, like 2019, the end of 2019 was when I started falling off a cliff.
But do you notice a lot of people blame weight gain on the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly do understand it. I mean, if we're gonna go there, it was a weird time for everybody
Well,
on
why
this
weight
planet.
gain? But why weight? Why would weight gain be? Why is that the cause?
I
In
think
other
'cause
words, didn't
people were stuck
everybody?
inside boredom and stress eating.
Yeah, oh no, I would think everybody was stuck inside, realizing that they had to be in the best possible shape they could be, or for real, or something might come and grab them. Like in other words, I thought when they told us about this that they specifically said, you know, well, I mean, they didn't say it on the main news, but they said, you need to be in the best shape you can be for something like this. You need to eat healthy. You need to this, that, the other. All these things can add up to making this thing worse. It's been seen in people that are obese. Blah, blah, blah. I thought that was the alarm to stay in shape and to keep yourself ready. Like I never once thought to just start eating. No, I'm being serious. Like that was my reaction. I was terrified. I'm like, oh boy, everybody's gonna get in great shape because I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I know there's a lot of people that are around my age that are going down.
Yeah.
Did you see the show I had on last Thursday, fantasy football with Matt?
Mm-mm. Nope.
He had just lost one of his friends that used to kind of live with him. It was like a real tough show. Like the first 15 minutes is Matt crying, and I'm like, I'm doing a fantasy football show, but I'm trying to handle the conversation and handle all this, and it's become mayhem. That's what I've learned recently. I think that's why wrestling is as great as it is, because you get to forget about what's going on, and you get to watch these guys do things that you can't do. I think that's a big thing with me. I love seeing guys do things I can't do. You know what I mean? I'm like, wow, geez, wow. Or guys that are just so big that you're like, the amount of juice and stuff that you did to get that big. Like, my God. Like some guys, like when Brock used to have that extra muscle here,
Yeah.
like he'd have his pecs and the traps, I guess. And then for some reason, this muscle developed so much, it was its own muscle like this. That was ridiculous. I remember seeing that thing and dude, there is nobody like him. Like you just can't build a person like that.
You know who was bad for that before he got off the steroids? With Triple H. He
Yeah,
was he was one where he had like muscles with muscles ripping off of the muscles and then muscles under those muscles.
You remember Stone Cold though slamming him for that?
Yeah.
Saying how some people can't come back in like ridiculously too big a shape, because that's when Triple H came back wearing that leather jacket that had almost like a vest ripped off on it.
Yeah.
He couldn't even stand any other way but this.
Yeah.
He took up that much space.
Yeah. Because you know what it is it's this muscle under here. He had like where his armpit was, there was just a muscle here that was so developed that
it came out.
Your shoulder, like your shoulder muscle up here prevents movement, and then this muscle down here prevents movement. So you're
that's from these and then flies.
Yeah.
He did. Look, he must have worked out too. Let's not take away from the fact that he must have worked out like a fucking monster man possessed.
Yeah.
Right? He had to, on top of whatever it is that he did. Because it's weird when they get a chance, I mean, their road schedule must just screw up being able to work out, because you watch a guy, even Roman Reigns, for a long time, if he's just on TV, he starts to soften up. And then he goes off TV, he comes back after a while, and he's ripped again.
Yeah.
I don't think you get to take care of yourself the right way. I mean, that seems obvious, but I would think that like getting to a gym Some wrestlers are just like, I'm not going. I'm skipping. I'm in too much pain. Like I'm not doing that. Right? If you get an injury, you're like, I'm not. I'm not going to risk, further injury. So,
especially with the schedule that they make those superstars work. It, especially, and again, we're gonna say pre-pandemic, it was crazy how much they were touring. I mean, it was like 5 to 6 days out of the week they were doing either a house show or a live show. It was insane, and they're never in the same place.
no.
So
And
it's I like to think that they have some kind of like traveling setup that they've got to have some equipment that goes with them to every or most a lot of arenas.
oh, you mean the
That
trucks? Oh, the trucks drive to every.
yeah, but I'm saying like there's got to be some gym equipment on that they pull out, put in a room, and then like here's a gym setup. Like go hit your sets, in the morning or in the afternoon after we've had some meetings. It's got to be something like that because I mean you're right. It's got to be so hard to get back onto like a regular workout regimen being in with
Well,
that kind of schedule.
my brother used to work at the Westin when it was the Westin, and a lot of wrestlers would stay there, and they would go right to the gym, and he would let me know like I just saw Edge, I just saw so and so. So some guys do get their workouts in.
Is this in Warwick off of Post?
Providence. It
Okay.
was the Westin for a while in Providence. It's now the Omni, I guess.
I know there was a Gold's Gym in Warwick across from the airport, so I didn't know.
No,
if
this
maybe
is
that
not
was
a
a
Gold's
place.
Gym. This is like a gym inside the hotel.
Oh yeah.
And it's a really nice gym. He's seen a lot of celebrities there. He's met Dave Grohl with the rest of the Foo Fighters. He met the whole Broncos team stayed there once. Football teams have stayed there a lot. To be honest, when they play the Patriots, they would stay in Providence at that hotel. I don't know where I was going with that.
It's actually how my soon-to-be father-in-law got Derek Johnson's autograph on a football. He knew someone who knew the equipment guy, who knew where they were staying, and so the equipment guy went to the hotel in Providence, got them to sign a bunch of shit, and he ended up getting a football and something else too. A football and something I can't remember, but definitely a football. I see it every day.
Yeah. The wife was there 2 years ago and caught the Giants getting out, and Danny Dimes walking to the bus with his he dresses so like that poor kid. He's gonna have a great year. Joe, let's get back. Let's talk about. He is gonna have a great year. I'm telling you. Let's talk about John Cena. So, all right. What can be said about John Cena? Now, here's the only problem that I'm having. I heard one or two people call him the greatest of all time. So GOAT has now officially been thrown out about John Cena. And he might be the greatest of all time. He's at a point where I can't argue it. I mean, I can't argue it, of course, but I could argue for it. Joe?
Sorry, I'm choking. It's fine.
You're
I don't know, man.
Beer. You're choking on beer.
No, it's seltzers. It's even worse. I got this thing. I always have a lot of phlegm in the back of my throat. So like I always friggin' hawk up half a lung. It's fine.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So I do a pretty good job of keeping it in my throat for the show. Sometimes it comes up. What do you want me to do about it?
You could have stopped 2 minutes ago about talking
So the biggest thing that I've always felt against John Cena for me as a wrestling fan was at the period of time where he was the biggest, I was tuned out. I fell out of WWE with the PG era, with the Jack Swaggers, and when Sheamus first came around, and I honestly missed a lot of CM Punk's run in the WWE. I mean, I've gone back and watched it when the WWE Network was a thing. I actually extensively rewatched CM Punk's run because when I got back into it, I wanted to just dive into everything that happened. So it was so
That's
crazy.
not a negative against Cena, because if you read a list of people he's beaten, it's a Hall of Fame's who's who.
Hold on, you got it. So I'm just saying, for me, a lot of the meat of his career when he carried WWE, I wasn't there, but I was there for his first match. I remember seeing his first match televised. I was there for the Doctor of Thugonomics when that came out of nowhere. I remember when he switched over to the Chain Gang after he beat JBL for the Undisputed Championship. he had something about him when he first came in that it just worked, man, and people just loved it. And at the time, his move set was incredible. He was doing things people had never seen. He had an attitude about him that people had never seen. The rap gimmick just worked for him for some reason. This white kid from Connecticut who
He
could
was
rap.
good at it.
Yeah, like it just worked. He carried the company because again, the PG era has been arguably one of the worst eras of the WWE, and he managed to carry the company and hold it up because there's a reason that at the end of his full-time career, he was getting the Kurt Angle treatment. You know what I mean? So
Who's gone for as long as he has, though? To where
nobody,
they went
no,
from where he started, then he got booed for a long time, to now
he's a god.
now
He's
he's
yeah,
so
the pop
Hogan
he
didn't do
got.
what he did in the WWE. Hogan did not do what he did in WWE.
No,
Hogan started it, but it was a good, what, 3-4 years with Hogan tops.
yeah, and that's different too, because then Hogan went over to WCW and ran arguably one of the greatest stables of all time,
True,
just in
but as
a
far as
two-bit.
WWE champs, even The Rock, Stone Cold, they don't have as many. They don't have not held it as much as him.
It all comes down to longevity too. I mean, The Rock split when he was still in the prime of his career. Stone Cold just couldn't do it anymore. The only one that really hung was Triple H, and honestly, Cena and Triple H had plenty of phenomenal battles against each other.
So the only one they talk about is Ric Flair, but Ric Flair in the WWE was not Ric Flair of WCW. So now I say the only person you could honestly argue with me over who the greatest wrestler of all time is, I can't even turn my back, and that would be Bruno Sammartino. Now, Joe, that's before my time, before your time, but he was champ for years. Years. Like not months, just years. He carried a whole that whole company was Bruno Sammartino. Get that, right? Because
Yeah,
back in that day, the Northeast was a hotbed, right? And we Italians were winning everything. Baseball, boxing, whatever you want to call it, right? You get Rocky Marciano, you get Bruno Sammartino. You see that? And people came to his matches, and I'll say they believed in his matches more than anybody believes in a match today. Kayfabe was so strong back then. Like, they didn't want to see flips and like weird moves because they would
yeah.
have thought that was like not wrestling. They're not really fighting. Like the old ladies up front wanted to see guys fight. Fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Bruno Sammartino would be the only one that you could say in the WWE because to just say that he's that John Cena is the greatest of all time, it's like you really are just forgetting that whole beginning of the company.
See, the argument for that, and I'm not going to make it necessarily saying you're wrong, but just the argument for why people forget about that is because a lot of the people that remember just aren't around.
Are
I mean, the
dead.
people calling him the GOAT are people who have been watching wrestling for probably no more than 20, 25 years. You know, they started in the 80s. Like, they don't remember the 70s. They don't remember the early 80s. Maybe they don't even remember the late 80s. That's the biggest thing. I mean,
I know, but in the WWE, he's not dead. Bruno's not dead, right? Bruno didn't pass away, did he not?
I don't think
Bruno's alive.
so.
Please check on that. I think Bruno's alive. But if he is alive, like I think he is, then Cena has to talk with Bruno. They have to bring Bruno back.
I'd love to see that.
You want to goat him?
Oh, he did.
He did die?
Yeah,
What year?
2018.
Wow.
He was 82.
So Joe, scratch my idea of having Bruno Sammartino show up.
It wouldn't be the first time the WWE had some kind of corpse on programming.
So could they at least have him allude to Bruno? Because this is going to be, let me tell you something. This is going to be the year of Cena celebration. I don't know if you know what's coming, but it's just going to be a bunch of that. Which, you know, more props to the guy. Again, I'm a Cena fan. I've become a Cena fan over time. Acknowledge Bruno. Acknowledge Hulk, The Rock, Steve Austin. Like, acknowledge the other champs that made wrestling so big. It was ridiculous.
I think they have. Not everyone that you've listed. I mean, they won't really acknowledge The Rock because The Rock spurned them. Like when he was making them the most money, he split for Hollywood. They have honored Stone Cold. I mean, they gave him.
No,
Uh,
I'm saying when they honor John Cena, these are the people that should appear.
yeah, okay, what you're saying.
You want to really make him the greatest of all time?
You got to have the other greats.
You better
make
have Ric
statements.
Flair there. You better have Hogan. You know what I mean? I'm talking about seriously. Get The Rock. Get Stone Cold. Get all the greats. I said Ric Flair. Have them all out there. Randy Orton, I think, should show up. I really do. Randy Orton should be even on the Hall of Fame yet. Him and Edge, they're both surefire. So that it's just like pay your respects to them, get it done, do it right. Let's move on. That's what I'm hoping to do with this.
Can you believe though that since Cena left, there has been no superstar that has elevated themselves to that level, and I will not take Roman Reigns as an answer.
Oh no! You can't elevate to that level
because he's not even close. There's been it was The Rock and Stone Cold.
Cena had 400 commercials.
Yeah, I mean Triple
Cena
H
did
didn't
how
even
many
hit this
things
level.
for kids? He showed up to how many visits for sick kids?
I'm pretty sure he holds like the Guinness World Record for most Make-A-Wish. Yeah. Like I mean, there's honestly even that there's no denying that the guy has. I would have to assume a heart of gold. I mean, the guy's done so much just for the world outside of wrestling, but there's just been nobody. Like it seemed like in the early 90s, there was so many guys that transcended wrestling. And since Cena left, or since Cena came into the company, and whether maybe it's Cena or maybe it wasn't, nobody has transcended stardom like he has in the last decade, probably decade more. And that's the biggest issue WWE has right now, is they always had that one guy and they want it so badly to be Roman Reigns, and it's just not him. And it could have been Brock, but Brock isn't that outgoing. He wants to go back home to his farm and just be with himself and Deborah, you know what I mean? So
the WWE does not know its fan base. They do not know who they want anymore. I don't think they know exactly what age bracket they're really shooting for. They're casting such a wide net. I don't know who they're going for. Like, what age group nowadays do you think they're aiming at? Because I could show you one match and tell you they're going for kids. I can show you another match, tell you they're not. It's like, I don't know where they're at right now. I don't think they know where they're at. All the shows are different, actually. Your thoughts? Who's their
change of colors?
Wait, hold on. Who is their target audience?
They want to hit.
You missed it. Now we're both in purple.
Well, I just realized I angled my lights a little differently this show because I'm trying to get like the best like lighting because it's always a little funny.
Yeah. I'm in purple, Joe.
And we're winding down, so I'm
blue.
like,
now I'm in like a white. Now there's like I don't know. I'm colorblind, greenish blue. That's dead green. It's supposed to be yellow, red. I'm back to purple with you, Joe. Go ahead.
So just think right now, here come the organs.
What do you mean? Oh, because of the colors?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to turn it to red, but it won't stay to red. I was saying the organs, like cane steam, all of a sudden everything just turns red.
Get red. I'll get red for you. There you go.
But see, red. It flushes out the face, though. I don't really like it. So back to white. No, ADHD kicked in, and I'm like, you know what? We got a couple minutes left. I'm like, let me see what the colors look like while we're wrapping up.
So let's end it with this. Joe, give me your final words. And how is John Cena the GOAT? Give me a percentage of what you believe in that. And your final words.
I think John Cena is the GOAT. I think he's going to break the record. There hasn't been anyone since probably Bruno who carried the company through a really rough time in the company's history.
Bret the Hitman Hart.
I'm
carried the company through a very difficult, boring time.
Yeah, I'm still not going to put him up there though. I
don't know if you put him up there either, but you just said no one that's ever no, that was Bret Hart. That's what Bret Hart did.
Either way, it's Cena's. I think Cena is the GOAT. As crazy as it is, and even we did this whole bracket and we broke it down, and we didn't pick Cena as the greatest of all time, but he probably is. And then other than that, we're gonna see him at SummerSlam. I'm interested to see if he pops up at Money in the Bank. I think that's the dark horse of the show, is seeing John Cena. Maybe further his feud with Austin Theory, and I'm looking to see hopefully Alexa Bliss wins the women's Money in the Bank match, which I don't think she will, but fingers crossed. And Seth Rollins is 100% winning the men's.
Okay, I like that. I like how you put that. For me, with this this whole wrestling thing, Cena is probably going to be go down as the greatest of all time. But then there's going to be the people that talk about his wrestling skills. It just for the total package, for what he brought to the company. I don't know how you get a better company man. Like, if you're going to start a company, how do you not start with him? Like, I know all the guys are great, but this guy, and like, he's got that Eli Manning thing with me. The best part about Eli Manning was every game he started, he was there.
Yep.
He was there. There's just something about the fact that you come to the huddle and your quarterback has never missed. He's just there. There's just something calming. And that's what Cena did. The champ was there. And you knew he was there, which they don't have anymore. We never know where the champs are.
No,
we don't
God, no.
You don't know who is, where they are with it, what's going on with it. Although I do like Gunter as the Intercontinental title. Yep. It gives that title, oh my God, it gives it so much more prestige. Right? He elevates that title.
I just wish they'd scrap the crappy looking title that it is. Go back to the white belt, man.
Nah, Gunther would not wear one. It should look more crappy, to be honest, with him wearing it, All right, Joe, I got nothing left to say to you.
Yeah, I think I've said it all.
So tomorrow night we have Legit Fantasy Football from 7 to 8. And then the final show of Legit USFL, where we will break down last week's 2 games and give you a preview of the championship game between the only lost once Birmingham Stallions, who are by far the cream of the crop, against we just can't believe they made it Philadelphia Stars. On the USFL program, me and Buddy are quoted as saying, if it ends up being a matchup of the Stars and Birmingham Stallions, you can bet your entire life savings on the Stallions to win outright. Just win. Don't play the point spread. Just play them to win, because there's no way they're losing to the Philadelphia Stars. Horrible, horrible team, horrible city. So, for Joey Paranormal, it's me, Mike Lepre King, Mike Elders, was World of Legit Fantasy Wrestling, brought to you by LegitPodcast.com. Tomorrow night, you know the shows. We'll see you again next week. We are done.